welcome to another World of Warships video with Dan from Digital.Flash.Fire. Right now we're looking at the Tier 5 Zuiho. In real life this was one of those odd carrier dropped on a cruiser designs. You can actually see the original hull lines of the ship, and then they just threw a carrier on top. The interesting smokestack over the side. Now it still actually has, you know, a bunch of 5-inch guns, but, well, let's face it, if those are firing, you have done something wrong. 4-kilometer range, they actually do fairly good damage. I mean, they're basically guns off a destroyer, but your real weapon is your bombers, your torpedo bombers, and your dive bombers. As you can see, these are pre-war biplanes. They're not historically accurate as far as their markings, but who cares? The Zuiho is a really dominant carrier. As you can see, I've got 3 torpedo bomber squadrons, 1 dive bomber squadron. This is what they call a suicide configuration, because I have no fighters. If they launch bombers at me, I have to hope that all of the little guns over here can take it. It is a very maneuverable ship, 28 knots. It has a huge turning circle, but it does actually get around fairly well. It just takes a a lot of space when it's turning. Concealment, it is fairly hard to see. They have to get within 8.5 kilometers. I should probably consider throwing some camo paint on this thing. Anyway, one of the big concerns or big complaints about carriers is that they are, you know, the players that play them are clickers, that it's sky cancer, that they don't take any risk. Well, that can be true. You'll see a lot of games where they just hang out in one of the corners, you know, A1, A10, J1, J10. They back themselves up as far as they can, and they don't really take part in the game. That does happen, but those guys are not contributing because the planes have to fly all the way out, and then they have to fly all the way back. They aren't contributing while they do that. Now, if you are getting closer to the fight, of course, you are exposing your heavy cruiser hit point pool and complete lack of armor. The armor on this ship is a joke. You will get Citadel hit by HE all the time. So if you're getting in close enough that you are actually hitting the enemy quickly with your bombers, they have the chance to hit you. And again, this is a suicide loadout. I have attack planes, but I have nothing to defend myself with other than, you know, a whole bunch of guns. And if you ever read the history books, these triple mount Hotchkiss guns are not... They do the job in this game, but don't count on it. And of course, the 5-inch guns are quite capable of doing some damage. Alright, let's see what this thing does in the battle. Alright, folks. Welcome to the battle. Here we are on New Dawn. With the little island map. It is New Dawn. Hey, what do you know? I'm not bad at this. We're going to abuse the ability to look over the plane's shoulder in this game because watching carriers fight in this view is about as much fun as watching paint dry. For those of you that want to know, hit shift. It makes this thing a lot more interesting. Now, this map has a lot of little nooks and crannies for ambushes, for torpedo runs, for all kinds of little dirty tricks. And we're going to see some of that here, but not a whole lot because, despite what the haters say, driving a carrier can be really frantic. Now, because this opening phase of the battle is pretty boring, we're going to speed this up.
team has taken the lead.
And we're zipping along. Now, as a carrier, you don't really want to shoot destroyers, and you don't really want to shoot cruisers. It doesn't work very well. You can see a couple guys rammed each other. Their Wicks and our Kuma are getting mixed in. That's going to leave a mark. Ooh. Kuma's dancing. Not doing much damage, but he's dancing. Now, I have spotted my target. I've spotted a Wyoming. It is hard to hit cruisers. It is hard to hit destroyers. It is not hard to hit battleships. What are we going to do? We're going to go after the battleship. Now, tactically, what I want to do is I want to split my planes up to come at it from multiple angles. What I'm actually going to do is keep my torpedo bombers grouped up and have my dive bombers go in first. And wham! Get a hit, set him on fire. Good start. He isn't dumb enough to... no, he is dumb enough. Oh, I wish I'd held my bombers out better. So he puts out the fire right away. His repair kit is still going when the torpedoes come in. Now, I lose a fighter or a bomber squadron, but I'm not too worried about it. I've got a ton of reserves, and his fighters are never going to catch the rest of my guys. You'll see they're already dropping back pretty fast. Now, imitation being the sincerest form of flattery, all of his guys are going to attack. Now, one thing that I'm going to point out is right now I'm heading northwest, and I quickly realize that this is a terrible idea because we've got a battleship out there. They have half their fleet. Now, we're down a ship, we're up a capture point. That's not a terrible start. Although everything that's died has been cruisers, leaving a bunch of destroyers floating around. First squadrons are landing, and I'm going to start turning because I have been turning because you want your planes landing as close to straight in as possible. So they shake it out. They come in. You'll notice I've got this. By the way, is not how you actually want to land planes. It's a little embarrassing there. And their fighters have come over. Now, their carrier pilot, I know it's usually a good idea to camp out like this, but he's too close in. His fighters are getting ripped to shreds by my anti-aircraft guns, even the crappy little Hotchkiss triple guns. He's lost 2/3 of his fighters, and before my second squadron even gets completely out the gate, they're going down in flames. One. Other. Sky is clear. And hey, we have a target. They have a Kawachi class battleship. Now the Kawachi is the first battleship that the Japanese get. It has no anti-aircraft ability whatsoever. Now, when I say no anti-aircraft, I mean it doesn't have any guns. Because as this Kawachi demonstrates, it does have a rudder. And if you're in a battleship, your rudder is your primary defense against fighters. Right now we're approaching from dead astern. I'm passing him left to right. And then I reverse it because I see him putting his rudder over. Now watch this guy dance. I have 12 torpedoes that are going to go in on. First squadron goes in. And a bad drop, which he dodges, but now his rudder is all the way over, so he's going to have a hard time dodging. Second squadron goes in. You'll notice he's not repairing. He sees this is going to be a prolonged attack. Ooh. 7,000 damage, just about. Last squadron. I want to make this count. I really want to hit him with 2 torpedoes. Back up a little. Give myself room. Set up my angle to come in. Now, airborne torpedoes don't arm immediately. And if they don't arm at all, they don't do anything. All that for one torpedo. Anyone complaining about sky cancer? Look what that Kawachi did. Yeah, those weren't great knocks by me, but they were good enough. He just danced all over. Now, I've got planes landing, I've got planes rearming. The advantage that Kawachi had against me was that he had enough space that he could maneuver freely. And my planes are going to start launching. You'll notice I strand this squadron while planes are taking off. If they've committed to landing, they'll still land. If they've not committed to landing, and there are planes taking off, they're just going to sit there and orbit, which is not useful. So now we're heading as quick as we can back to where I'm really hoping the Kawachi shows up. The reason I'm hoping he shows up here is that channel doesn't have room to maneuver, which is not going to keep the big stupid battleship from going in there. Change course. Just a little more. Notice my last squadron was only just landing. My first squadron is already back in the fight. You're not dodging this one, buddy. Look at that. Plenty of room to arm. 2 torpedoes in. Boom. I probably could have let him sink because he just used his cooldown, but I let the dive bombers finish off. That Wyoming was fighting off to the west against a St. Louis. The Wyoming is gone. The St. Louis is still up. What are we going to do? We're going to go hunting the St. Louis. Now, the St. Louis has one thing that going for it the Kawachi didn't. It has anti-aircraft guns. It has a pom-pom and it has a bunch of heavy machine guns. Not really enough to shoot planes down, but enough that you don't want to hang around and make your attack run last forever because there's no point handing him kills. Now I know this guy can maneuver and he's maneuvering pretty well, so I go to fork him between these 2 squadrons. First squadron comes in and I drop at a terrible angle. That's not doing anything. But he doesn't pay attention for a few seconds, and that means he's turning right into that torpedo. Now he quickly repairs the damage. But we've got more planes coming in already because I am this close to the battle that those planes are already landing, these planes are already taking off. Of course, here I do something really stupid, and I just look at how awful that manual is. It's only the complete lack of skill of dive bomber pilots that lets me even get this deck wet. But he's almost out of luck. Look which way he's turning. Get my bombers on his beam. Here we go. Turn in. Just enough room for the torpedoes to arm. Good night. Now, on the way back, 3 on 1.
You are the last hope.
Thank you, announcer guy. Now at this point, I'm getting planes aboard. I've got a squadron there. I've got other squadrons taking off. The good news is I know where they are. The carrier and battleship were last seen in C9, C10. I don't know where the destroyer is, but he knows where I am, so I'm pretty sure I don't have to worry about finding him. You'll notice I'm making a beeline and no pressure. No pressure at all. Now, one of the things about attacking carriers close in with things like battleships is they're going to have like a 20-second, 25-second turnaround time on the dive bombers, the torpedo bombers. which means they're going to be shooting torpedoes faster than you're shooting your main guns. That's pretty harsh. Now the carrier's shooting at me, and as I demonstrated earlier, it has pretty good AA. I'm staying at its close-in umbrella, mostly. There's some of it coming up. And I'm just doing a automatic drop on the battleship, because there really isn't any place you can go. You'll notice I am on fire. They're clobbering. And I'm mostly supervising my attack, because I've got to get these guys. There goes the dive bombers go in. Boom. Apparently Dick Best was in the Japanese Navy today. And the carrier burns down. 3 ticks, 2 ticks, 1 tick. Goodbye. Now, there's the destroyer. Almost 8 kilometers away. My secondary batteries have a 4 kilometer range. We're shooting at his last torpedo bomber squadron, focusing fire on it, which is always helpful. But we don't really have to worry about this. They're no longer contributing to the battle. They're just free experience. And now I'm turning, and I'm not going to be launching. You'll notice that I'm getting the torpedo bombers over, so I can get this guy spotted and keep him spotted. Dive bombers are on the deck. 13 seconds. We've got 5 minutes left. And I'm not even going to launch the torpedo bombers. And there he is. 5.5 kilometers out. He's got shots out. He's got torpedoes out because it's a Minakasa. And there goes our last best hope. I'm down to 5,200 units. Dive bombers are up. Dive bombers are in the air. Here we go. Lining them up as carefully as we can. Getting the nose on. And yes. 5 kills, bunches of hits. I lost the screenshots for this when I went ahead and switched hard drives and then deleted a lot of stuff off the old one. I was lucky that I'd uploaded this to our Google Drive, but yeah, what a nail-biter. 3-on-1 at the end, killing 3 enemy ships, crossing almost half the battlefield to do it with my planes. Carriers have that ability that really elite athletes do to say, fuck you, we're not losing this game. And that shows it. You know, like I said, I didn't get any medals in that game, actually, even though I got 5 kills and, you know, put the team on my back at the end. But I got us the win, and it was a beautiful score, too. All right, folks, for Digital.Flash.Fire, this is Dan. Thanks for watching.